evening, ladies and gentlemen. And I know all of you want to compliment me on a new haircut, but that's later because tonight we have an amazing interview with our special guest, a person who gave a TED talk in Berlin. His name is Ben Bharat Berwing. Bharat escaped the hamster wheel of modern society and the golden handcuffs of a corporate six-figure job. So why did he do that? 5 years ago, he waived the conveniences and unnecessary necessities of the Western world, of names and things, to explore a richer lifestyle of self-realization with his wife and 2 boys. Fiji, Iran, India, USA, traveling and living off the grid, in tiny homes and in symbiosis with nature, opened his worldview for adventures in the school of simple living. You ask me, what is he doing now? Hand milking the cows, growing grains, digging wells, homeschooling and meditating about the goal of life while turning bullshit into gold.
No. Mm-mm. No.
And when I say bullshit, I actually mean it, like bullshit.
No. Hell no. I refuse. No.
He discussed all of this in his TED Talk, so check out the link in the description below.
Okay. Bullshit. This is bullshit. Okay, literally. I mean, no offense. In fact, I prefer to train seemingly dangerous giant bulls with horns and milking cows by hand rather than being a modern slave.
So now I'll try to contact him on Zoom and just ask him a few questions. Let's see how it goes. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Yaroslav.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How are you doing?
Great. I'm just coming back from a walk with my children, getting some milk.
Oh, nice. You staying at the farm?
Right now, we needed to leave the USA where we were farming because we ran out of visa, and we were on our way to Portugal where we want to purchase a farm. And now we visited the parents of my wife in Germany, and then we got locked down. So
Oh, it's a total lockdown, huh, in Germany.
Yeah, not really here at the countryside. I go out every day, so no one is watching.
Well, thank you so much for allowing me to interview you and for your time. So I want to begin by asking, you were a well-off, very successful person in the corporate world, developing your career, achieving your goals, making a lot of money. And then suddenly you decided to change your lifestyle and move towards simple living. So what was the turning point in your life? Why did you decide to do that?
There were a couple of points that made me think how I'm living my life. I mean, one special moment was when my eldest son, when he got born, and I was working so much so that I would hardly see my family, and then I was thinking, what food do I give to my children, and what example do I want to be for them? And I saw that definitely I don't want to be the dad that's only coming for a couple of hours and eating some junk food or going into restaurants all the time. And so I started to think about where are we living? Where do I go with my children every day? And in the city, you have to search for a couple of trees and some grass the children can play on. So I was totally shifting my mind and seeing the world with different eyes at that time.
Yeah, so children, you kind of thought, all right, maybe for me, I can live this life for some time at least, but for my children, I don't want them to live that unnatural lifestyle, or it's too much for them.
Yeah, I was basically questioning everything, what I eat, because I saw I got so many allergies at that time. I could hardly eat anything without getting itching. Like I couldn't eat an apple. I couldn't eat any nuts, no milk, no gluten, so no bread anymore. And I was very worried that my children will get so many allergies. And I was thinking, where do these allergies come from? And I thought, well, that's these civilization diseases, and our food it's looking like food, but it's passing through hundreds of hands, being processed in a factory, and that brought me to grow my own food together with my children. So now they know there's a huge difference when you taste the food from the field. Then it's hard to explain. It's not like it's very tasty. For example, let's say some arugula salad. I never liked that very much. I hated it as a kid. But now when I'm growing arugula salad and I taste a little bit, I feel like, wow, there's like energy. And I see my children, they can taste that as well. They like greens. And in living in the city, I was concerned. They will eat like everyone eats, and that's not very healthy today. But I was not a better example, and I didn't know how to do that.
This is awesome that what you mentioned, like your children actually wanting to eat vegetables, because in Australia it's such a big problem for psychologists. They don't know what to do. They try different things, so they try to set a minimum of like 2 fruits and 4 vegetables per person every day, which is half of what actually people need, and still they can't achieve that goal because, I don't know, people just find it very difficult to eat these fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, it's like I see it like when you feed animals. Let's take cows. We were living with cows the last 5 years most of the time, and I didn't know what to feed to them. And we researched and we visited other farms, and then we saw how some cows, they're eating so many things. Like now on the farm where I've been to get the milk, in these bags, I look on the tag, what are they feeding their cows? And it's so much. There's like a list of so many things. And in America, we saw they get a lot of junk. The cows, they get junk food. And the best thing of that junk food is maybe just starchy corn. And that's not made for ruminants. That's not made for their stomach. But they're getting this, so they become fat and big. But it changes their mentality. When they eat that, they become like hyperactive. And otherwise they are calm and peaceful. Once they get like the newborn babies, they don't know anything of that. First they love the milk most, and then when they start eating from the field, they are happy and steady and healthy. But when you start feeding them corn, they are crazy for corn. And they go wild for the corn. So I want to say, once you change the taste, then the grass is not as good anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
they love the grass anyway, but you can see it with children. If I give my children with everything they eat some sugar, or give soda water, which is containing a lot of sugar, yeah, then
Plenty.
it's stimulating so much, and it's giving so much feelings of happiness, which is kind of artificial. Like this new kind of food, the factory food, that that is being crafted and manufactured in a way by scientists that it's triggering the senses a lot. They put fat and salt and sugar all at once, and it's stimulating so much. You feel so lucky immediately. I can feel like totally unhappy and sluggy, but then I eat a little bit, and my mood changed. So that's very rewarding. And if this is happening to children, then they get kind of addicted. It's like a
Yeah.
form of addiction.
Yeah. And obviously, this junk food, or the food that has been produced using a lot of chemicals, it's obviously not good for your health. As you mentioned, you had so many allergies. Like, that's probably one of the side effects of consuming such food.
Yeah, I'm convinced of that. Yeah. Now I'm able to breathe, and that's like 10 years ago. I had a hard time to just breathe and to fall asleep in the night, because my nose was always blocked, and I didn't know why. But now that we don't eat that much of these manufactured foods anymore, I'm feeling much more alive. I'm not covering my feelings with tasty food.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I see my responsibility to do that for my kids. And I just was desperate, because I wanted to feed my children healthy food stuff, but buying it organic, that was like, yeah, healthy food is more like a scarcity, and a very expensive scarcity today.
Yeah.
Who can afford to feed a family with 4 only organic food? And still, I don't trust all the food that I buy.
Yeah, you brought up a really interesting point in terms of organic food. Actually, a lot of advertisers um, use this as a selling point. They put a sticker that this is organic food, and usually a lot of this organic food is worse than manufactured food, which is very sad. Like, but that's how it is, because people think, oh, this is organic,
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, and it can be very sad, but it's so easy. It's so easy once you grow some food, then it turns, and it's enlivening, and giving so much enthusiasm.
So you had a chance to kind of live your life in the way you wanted. Do you feel like you miss the business world, the offices suits and your tie?
No. No, I mean, my mind still is kind of complicated, and likes to think, and so I like a challenge. I like a good challenge, and so I like writing, and I like to work on something that is more sophisticated, a higher goal. And yeah, I'm really looking forward uh, to go to Portugal and find some land there, and build something there. That's giving me that fulfillment to plan this. But sitting in an office, yeah, no, that's giving me no juice anymore.
No.
Yeah.
All right. You mentioned writing. Do you? I heard you actually writing a book. Is this right?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Okay.
I'm not experienced in that, and I have a hard time to just sit down and to write. It's more like when I'm outdoors, and the parents of my wife, they are growing food here, So when I go outdoors and I see, the kids, they're picking strawberries, or they're just taking like mud, not mud, like dry mud, like soil, and they shoot each other with soil, and they're playing outdoors, and they're just happy, and uh, then I feel some energy and I feel inspired. Then I can sit down and write nicely. Otherwise, it's hard for me to write. So now in this lockdown time, I get confronted with that, because I don't feel like writing all the time. But I want to get into it on a regular basis, and share about this kind of lifestyle, where some people say, no, that's not for me, I cannot do that. And I can relate, because I never knew how to do anything with my hands, or how things really work. Like I was only consuming uh, energy. Or I've been in Australia when I was studying, and I saw the people how cautious and resourceful they are about using water. And I never learned that. I didn't know where water's coming from, just turning on the faucet and not thinking about it. But just living with nature, it makes so much more calm and attentive. Like my children, they know how to water their little field that they are growing now. They have that little, I don't know how you say, jugs, and they go and water it, and they know the value of water. I don't need to teach them and tell them, oh, turn off the faucet, that's expensive, and give them a scarcity feeling. They know how to value water, and you can catch rainwater. You can catch rainwater, or you can dig a pond. You can dig a well. There are so many opportunities to tap into the abundance of nature.
I was just thinking, personally, as I was growing up, and many of us grew up in that consumerist society, materialistic society. Obviously, a lot of children, if you ask them where the milk comes from, they can say from the shop, from the supermarket. But now your kids actually know where it comes from the cows, because they did the milking and they know. But I want to actually move away. We'll come back to the simple living and to your book.
Okay.
But I just want to ask about people who actually work at home right now. So because of lockdown, most of the people in Australia, they're sitting at home, working from home. And you also mentioned in your talk, a lot of people spend a lot of time at their desk, whether in the office or now at home, which can cause a lot of actually health problems. So what would you recommend to those people, who are not living the life you do?
Life is coming from life. So my energy is coming from life. And practically sitting on a desk, that means for me, I will get less sunlight, I will get less exposure to fresh air, and I will get less exercise. So when I now sit on the desk for a prolonged time to write, then I'm shifting my position. Like now, I'm not sitting on a chair. I'm on my knees on some cushions. So I know when I sit on a chair all the time, I'm getting tired, and I'm not really energetic, because mind and body, they are so connected. And so how I position my body makes a huge difference. And when I feel I'm getting a little bit looking around and not really focused, I know I can change that by breathing deeply. If I breathe deeply and I hold in the air, it's like my body is getting all that energy, or chi, or prana. Different cultures give it a different name, but this energy it comes, and I'm more awake and alive. And also, what I use is I put a little ginger and some herbs or lemon juice, just lemon. Put that in this jug, and I drink. I've got a rhythm of drinking. I noticed when I'm not filling this jug in the morning, I'm not so aware of how much I drink. I could end up and think, oh well, it's 3 o'clock. Oh, how much did I drink? Oh, maybe 2 glasses of water. And so this is helping me to stay on track. And then sometimes I just need some exercise and need to get going a little bit. And if someone has no opportunity to really walk around or doesn't want to, being at home, I would think about taking something like a trampoline and just bouncing a little bit. Or what I do is I do some push-ups.
Yeah.
And after that I'm alive and fresh again. And otherwise it's just very unnatural for the body to sit all the time. And the first thing I started with, now knowing that I'm in lockdown in Germany, I switched the chair from a chair that has the back, that back part,
Back support,
to a chair that has no back support. And that makes a whole lot of difference, because otherwise I'm always kind of tight and stiff. And
that's a really good advice. I actually have some pain because we've been studying online with our university. So that means at least 3 hours a day, sitting at the computer, whether doing the course online or whether you're doing the assignment or writing essay. So I actually start feeling this pain in the back. So again, as you mentioned, walking around the block, it helps a lot. I was doing some push-ups now, so that kind of helps. And
just imagine doing that for 20 years or 30 years. That was the shocking thing for me, seeing all the other guys wearing suit and tie and seeing how often they get sick, and then sometimes really kidney disease, or then depression. Someone suddenly is not coming anymore, and that gave me to think, why is that? It's the environment and the big pressure, I think, but a mix of many things.
Now again, you said it made you question things, and again, this is coming from your TED talk. You mentioned that many people just exist, and you just existed before you came to that realization. They don't have a deeper meaning in life. They don't know what to do. How to find that meaning? How can we have a greater purpose in life?
I feel kind of sad connecting to that feeling. I didn't have a deeper meaning in my life for almost 30 years, and for me it only came with the pressure of getting a child. Then I became serious. Before I was just going to a party, drinking some alcohol, and speaking with my friends about unimportant things and chit-chatting. And then when I got together with my wife Ananta, I was thinking, I don't want this to happen, to be with one lady and then change, and then I was thinking, how will that continue? If I get children, then maybe they will grow up without their mother or without their father. And I was thinking, if I want to get a different life, I need to do something in a different way. And I was really, I wouldn't say praying, but I was contemplating. I was I was under that pressure, I was seeing that things are not working very nicely for me. I had that job, but it was not that I was feeling like total fulfillment. And I was connecting to, I want to get kids, and I want that they grow up in a family that stays together. And I remember at that time we had 2 flats, and we were traveling between North Germany and West Germany, and we were on a flea market. And my goal was, I was thinking, all right, my rascal mind was, okay, you just you cannot trust these scientists and what all that's going on, what the leaders are providing. That's really not working out. You can see it in when you just open a newspaper. So I was thinking, okay, I will look into all kinds of religions that are there, and I will draw out the best principles for me and then follow that.
Yeah,
so
that's a
I was
good
thinking,
idea.
I can figure it out. So then we were walking on a flea market, and then I found the book Bhagavad Gita, and I didn't know. I just had an idea of what it is, so I bought that, and then I started reading that when my boy, he was very sensitive. He was crying, and now I know he just wanted to be close and wanted our attention and feel safe. And so I was I'm like a soft guy, so I'm a little bit like a mama. Yeah, so I took my baby a lot. So then I took him for sleeping. I was thinking, oh, my wife, she's exhausted, better I take him. And so even at daytime, I was hanging in like a hammock with a that was bouncing from the wall. So and I needed to do that with him, otherwise he would scream. And so I was in that hammock with him, and then I was reading in that book, and I was a little suspicious and not knowing what it is. And that sometimes these verses would I would feel like, wow, that's exactly what I'm searching for. And then I would forget it again.
Yeah.
But then I would again read in it, and then I would think like, wow, it was like goosebump feelings. I was thinking that's exactly what I was thinking 12 years ago or so. I never want to forget that. And I was forgetting again. And but my desire became bigger and bigger to hold something of this like eternal wisdom. That's how it came for me. And and I want to mention one more thing. And I see how that also can come from being in that peaceful environment in nature that is connecting me more with these feelings of there's something bigger, and I get peace, and just looking into the stars, it's a miracle. If we once we calm down, if we live simple, then it's easier to think high. That's the realization about that.
You reminded me, I was in a private school in Sydney. I was studying in private school, and every year we would go camping for 2 weeks out in the bush. We would just go for we'll sleep in the bush and just walk around the mountains, drink water from the different water sources, from the rivers and stuff. And one day we had to spend a night by ourselves. So we separated from each other by like 500 meters, so you could see far away someone else is there. And
only one person?
One person, yeah. So we were in a big field, and maybe there was 30 people in the group. So we all separated by 500 meters from each other, and we set up our own tent. And I looked for many people. Many people struggled with setting up their own tent, and I was struggling like anything. But so I finished at midnight. It was always falling. I would set it up and it would just fall again. And it was really a struggle. I saw some people already, like my friends, already sleeping like just like that, no tent needed. So when I set up the tent, I was like, okay, it's time to have some food. I had like capsicum or something like that. So I started eating. I sat down. It was already midnight. There was a full moon, and just so beautiful. The nature, the how quiet it was, how peaceful. I still remember. It was so beautiful. Like I would never forget it. That happened maybe 7 years ago. I still like it was just so nice. And yeah, the nature, like there's a lot of things we can manufacture in our head, thinking, oh, this is the right way to live, or this is the right way to live. But when you're in the nature, when you are connected to the most natural thing, the trees, the grass, the water, you can actually feel that reality, that it's not something that your mind has manufactured. That is the real thing, like, which I can really totally connect.
Yeah, sounds like you needed a lot of courage, and then you found some peace, and that was really touching for you. That reminds me of how we lived in upstate New York,
Yeah.
at the countryside on the fields, very peaceful. You don't see any neighbors, some forest and fields and a river, a creek, and you mentioned if I miss like working in an office, so I still have like an entrepreneurial mind and kind of restless mind. So I'm getting ideas and I want to put them into fruition. And then on that field, we had a huge tent. I was buying a huge tent because I was thinking that's necessary if we are all living just in one vehicle in a motorhome. I was thinking maybe we sometimes need a tent because someone wants to be alone or the kids want to play in the tent. So that was a tent like 5 meters by 3 meters, like a military tent.
That's a big
And
one.
yeah, and so my kids were not really interested in it. My wife was not. I was thinking what to do with that. It was just the idea of my mind how happiness comes. Okay, you get that big tent and then everything will be good. And yeah, we don't needed it. But then my entrepreneurial mind was like, well, people, they like to be in nature, and we are like only 1.5 hours from New York City. So I put up an Airbnb, made pictures of nature and the tent, and people came to pay almost $50 per night to sleep in that tent. Okay, I have to say, we also got up one little solar panel and an old car battery and a fridge. There are these fridges you can put into a boat or into a truck.
Yeah, like an
They run on
esky.
12. Yeah, they run on 12 volt, and we put a little light and a little inverter. So with USB for charging their phone, and we put a hammock in it and some water fresh from the source, and yeah, people, they loved it. And we had a little wood stove, a very little wood stove, but was a chimney.
Yeah.
And yeah, people, they loved it so much because they wanted to get out of nature, out of a city and into nature. And for them, it was this extreme contrast. Yeah, that really helped them to calm down. Yeah, when there's no other light, you see the stars so clearer and much like closer. It feels more intensive when you're so quiet. And in normal day life, it's often hard because our rhythm is set up. We are so entangled in so many obligations and habits. But then, yeah, breaking out of that and going on to a journey, for example, that can really help to see the world with different eyes.
Yeah. it is hard to break out from our habits, but once you're out there, you feel like you're breathing. Sometimes I actually, when I drive, just driving out of the city, I can breathe in. I can feel that there's no more this pressure which is holding me, and yeah, that's a really really good experience. So I meet a lot of people in Australia who are what they call themselves spiritual. They say I'm spiritual, and they say you just have to do what you love. You love your Bhagavad Gita, Krishna. I love scuba diving, so we both love something, and that's all that matters. Yeah. Would you agree to such statements? Would you say you just have to do what you love, and that's good enough?
I mean, that was how I was living my life, and that's still kind of deeply ingrained in my nature to think, yeah, everything is good, and every path leads to God, and everything is good. The universe is there, and everything is connected, and I think that's one part of the truth. And for me, also, it's true when I'm like that, and I'm not committed. Like you said, you're studying again now, and so you're following one curriculum, and you're following a certain schedule in your daily rhythm. And when I just make that up for myself, I can say, yeah, my wife had a different rhythm and was making up something else, and we were kind of living together, but everyone following different concocted ideas. And I found that a little bit unfulfilling, unsatisfying. For myself, I was just coming up whimsically with ideas of what is spiritual, and I had no real idea what is spiritual. So when I started reading in the Gita, I got some guidance to understand. Okay, what's that? Yeah, there's material and there's spiritual, and it's scientific to distinguish between those two. Yeah, one is alive and one is dead, and that is really interesting for me, for my mind, my inquisitive mind. It's very satisfying to study that. A spiritual life really starts with when you say, okay, I follow one university and I test it, and I feel like I'm a student that is in a testing phase, and I'm looking to find some flaws and to question it, and I can experience that it's working. The description, the medicine that is prescribed there, that is, I can feel and sense that that there is some truth behind, even I don't understand all.
Yeah, very interesting. It gives us what you mentioned, spiritual material. It gives us different perspective, because for most of the people, they find happiness in little things. I think you mentioned this Amazon Prime. You would order something online, and then you would just completely forget what it is. Yeah, that's all right. It's good to keep these memories, because
and it really helps. Because I'm still ordering from Amazon. And my wife, when she sees an Amazon box, she says, "Oh, I always have to remember you. How you said that you were." So when you say that, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm always looking out of my eyes to the world, and I'm not seeing myself. So there's always some part of myself that I'm not really aware of. And
Yeah.
only when I start to follow someone or something and really study that rigorously, then I can measure and see what is really my own will,
Yeah.
what is my intelligence, or what is something that I just make up. Like, for example, only if I say, okay, I want to wake up this morning before such and such time. I'm just having that topic with my children. I gave them an alarm, and they are not using it, and they're just laying there and laying there and laying there, and I don't feel like I'm the one going behind them with the whip. I don't want to do that anymore. I want them to have the intention to wake up, and only if I have that for myself, then I see that, oh, actually I have that goal. It's so important for me to wake up early, but then why am I choosing this excuse and that excuse to, no, I went to bed so late, and that was only one time because friends came, and that's so important. And then I have another good excuse and another good excuse, but only when I say, okay, I have that one goal, then I can see if I just follow my own whims. And that's coming if you follow like one philosophy. And my idea of following many philosophies and just picking, that is what I see in what you said. There are so many ways, and everything is good, and there's definitely some truth behind that. And I find it much more fulfilling to enroll in one university and study.
Yeah. It gives you that feeling of going deeper in your understanding of the world, right? Instead of just picking little things up from different religions, you're still gonna go, on the surface level. You can't pick all the deep stuff because it takes time, it takes practice to go deep in that practice. And,
I feel so much understood, and I find it such an important point. Instead of staying on the surface, staying horizontally, you go deeper once you commit to one way, and everyone can choose their own way. But I think it's so important, if someone wants to experience spirituality, to just start by committing to like testing one way. There's no way you need to do that, you have to do that, but experimenting with it, being open to discover and explore.
Yeah, it's a good mindset to have that open-mindedness. And now I want to move to some issues that people experience besides that physical health. There's also our mental health. So and many people, including myself, experiencing some uncertainty at the moment. So we don't feel very secure because of coronavirus lockdown. What is going to happen to economy? Will I die soon? Will I get this virus? Will I lose my job? There's so many questions. And because from psychological point of view, when people are driven by fear, they can't make rational choices or decisions. How to remain calm in this situation, how to have the feeling of security in the times of uncertainty.
Many things come to my mind, and I know how it was for me, like when this was beginning with the first pictures and videos from Wuhan. I was like, oh God, I had asthma my whole life, and so I'm definitely in the risk group. And I was thinking to not travel, or I was thinking to avoid, and I was realizing I'm really turning around in my mind, being anxious. And one thing is, I notice how that stops immediately for me when I go out into nature and I have a walk, and I go with the children into the forest and sit next to the creek, and then I connect more with nature, and that calms me down. So I'm convinced that nature, like Earth, my children, since we lived in Fiji, they don't like wearing shoes. Like their grandparents think they need to be corrected, and they try and try. But I think now they're kind of surrendering. They don't want to wear shoes. Why should they? In Fiji, they saw everyone wearing, not everyone, but the people where we lived, they were not all wearing shoes, and it's connecting, it's grounding us, and you could measure that scientifically and say electromagnetically, frequencies, whatever. But connecting with the earth, touching earth, breathing fresh air, being in the sunlight. The sun is giving sunny feelings. So this is definitely helping on a physical level, and the physical body is connected with brain, mind. So that's one step that
Connecting to
helps
nature.
me.
Yeah.
And breathing deeply. But I'm not so much doing these things consciously. I'm doing mantra meditation. That for me is helping me to calm me down. I'm in a different consciousness. When I do that in the morning, my day looks different. I'm kind of prepared for the challenges.
Can you tell me more about that mantra meditation? How do you do it? Maybe because some of our viewers might want to try it out.
Basically, that's like mantra is like coming from, that's like two Sanskrit words from ancient Vedas, and like Ayurveda is coming from the Vedas, and Manu and Traha are the two words for mantra. Manu, mind, and Traha, freeing. So it's what is freeing the mind.
That's the meaning of mantra.
That's the meaning of mantra, and basically it's just repeating repeating a mantra which is consisting of several words, and by just repeating them, I listen to them, and whenever some thoughts come into my mind, which for me is like constantly the case, and that's where I only I have something like kind of a measure stick, what I mentioned before, only because I say, okay, I want a calm mind, and I don't want to react. I don't want to be reactive, and I don't want to shout and say something I regret later, and I don't want to make decisions that I feel not really convenient with. I want to be fully in control in any moment in my life. And what's really helping me is to control my mind. And this is this is for me experienced a way that is helping, definitely. So what you do is basically you say three words: Hare, Krishna, and Rama. That's from the Maha Mantra.
Maha means great.
Maha is great. So it's the great mantra. It's containing like the supreme male Krishna, the supreme female Radha, and so this mantra, you don't need to know how it works and what it makes, and you just repeat it. So you say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then you go on. I do that, for example, with my grandmother. She is Christian all her life. She's 85, I think, and she's praying the rosary. She likes to do that, so I'm connecting with her doing that, and she's so appreciative because of the mood, and she says it gives me like so much peace when you're doing that. She asked me, do you have something like the Supreme Mother? Do you think about the Supreme Mother as well? I said, yeah, of course. That's like the embodiment of the words Hare, and and then she told me about her realizations of Mother Mary, and so in that sense, I can see there are different ways that are leading to the same truth, and I really appreciate she's following her kind of line and school, and and I appreciate having it very simple, one mantra. That is my practice, and that I can experience for myself that it's giving me something. And I don't need to be part of any kind of institution or organization going somewhere. I'm just living with my family, and my church, my temple is my home.
I had a different question, but I guess you answered it. I wanted to ask, wouldn't your religion put you in the box? And obviously you said your home is your temple, like you have the mantra, and you can chant it, you don't need to put yourself in a sort of box. And actually that's what people experience these days. They can go to the church or the temple, and because now all these institutions have been closed because of lockdown, they are in so much stress and anxiety. They're like, how are we supposed to connect to God? How are we supposed to be spiritual if these institutions are closed? But then if you have a mantra, and that's what connects you to that spiritual energy, you don't need to be in that institution.
This mantra, this helps me to see, okay, I'm not this mind. My whole life, when I was thinking, who am I was thinking I am these thoughts, I am these feelings, and I'm not. That's just an extension of my body. And I'm not my feelings, and I'm not my thoughts. I'm something spiritual, and spiritual, that's not like material, something you can see or measure or take in your hands, but it's that powerful that there's life in this body. So once this body is dead, it drops on the ground, and there's no use of it. So there's some material matter and some spirit matter. And
spiritual
when I
energy,
use that mantra, I'm always connecting with, okay, now my goal is to free my mind. I don't want to follow the dictate of my mind. And my mind is like a drunken, crazy monkey, jumping from one topic to the other. And if I allow that monkey to do that 24 hours a day, or 16 or 17, however long I'm awake, then who's driving that body? Is it me? Who is it that's me? And or is it that drunken monkey that's thinking of this topic, thinking of that topic? And then I see it's inside of me, and it's my consciousness that makes the difference. If I'm seeing the supreme in everything, in nature, or see, I don't need the church or the temple. It can, of course, be very, very helpful, and I'm not dependent on it. That is helping me to disconnect from the anxiety, because there's something bigger than viruses, and I'm convinced that what is happening in life is happening for a reason. And at the same time, I want to be prepared, and I want to be healthy, and I don't want to use that as an excuse, but I want to also have trust. I want to tap into this unlimited trust that this world and I myself are fully equipped for everything, because nothing can actually kill me. My body can be killed, but I'm not this body.
Mm. Yeah, interesting. I like this. I like this conversation. You said that there are so many problems, and I don't understand how long it's gonna take people to realize. You said there are many other problems besides coronavirus, which are bigger than this virus. And one of the examples I want to, it just comes up to my mind. I recently wrote a paper on alcohol consumption, because it has increased dramatically during this coronavirus lockdown time. People are consuming much more alcohol. And I just looked up the statistic, and per year, just in Australia, 5,000 people die because of directly alcohol consumption. 70,000 people are assaulted by people who consumed alcohol, which is like crazy numbers, And meanwhile, we have only, 100 people who died from coronavirus in Australia, which is like nothing. And in terms of percentage, it's not even close. Like people who suffer from alcohol abuse or die from alcohol, it's like way more people than who suffered from this virus or flu or whatever.
Yeah. So you mentioned there are so many problems out there. For example, one, drinking alcohol, especially now, that's getting even more intensified during lockdown, and then shocking statistics, especially if you compare that. So I can relate to that. And in the past, like at that time, like 10 years ago, when my first child was being born, I was drinking alcohol on a regular basis before that, and doing so many things that were not beneficial for me, or not a very good example for my children. And then I got determined to not do some things, and gradually changed little by little some things. And then I noticed for myself how I judge about others, like this phenomenon when I learned something new, and then I think, oh, I have to tell that everyone. Oh, why are they so stupid? They are doing that. That's not good. But that's not connecting me with really nice feelings. And I also went to places where I was thinking, well, you wasted your time, you wasted your life. Why? How could you do that? Yeah, what helps me is just focusing on spirituality, which is for me like the culmination of high thinking. There may be higher values and higher goals, and like above all the kind of material values and doing good things, there's something spiritual. And being simple, that really helps. And that's what I decided I want to devote my life to live that example, not by saying, hey, you should grow a garden because it's much better, and now I have to go and tell my mom and my sisters and my friends and tell everyone, you need to do that. No, that's, everyone is different. And but I'm convinced that everyone can, if they want to, somehow simplify their life, because life was not always that complicated. When we hear, there will be a new normal. If life before was like, it's normal that 5,000 people in Australia die from alcohol, and that's no big deal. But then a virus kills hundreds, and I don't want to minimize that, but in Australia, if the numbers are like that, and there is so much publicity and around that, and people having a lot of fear. Imagine people would have that fear about drinking alcohol. They would drink less alcohol and would somehow, maybe it would be helpful. I don't want to judge about that. But I don't want to judge that. Stop doing this thing or that thing, because I for myself realized that this is not good for me. But I would like to inspire and enthuse others by showing an example where, I can feel that. I can feel that when I'm living simple and being connected with nature. It's something, it's hard to put into words, but once you have eaten that arugula fresh from the field, and you have walked on when I harvest something bare feet in the soil, and the sun is there, and my kids are just playing somewhere, and life is so much more easy. Why should I cage in a city in a little flat, and then it's so intensive, and there's always some noise, and my kids are always more like hyper excited, like I was when Amazon boxes are arriving, and it's more like so many unwanted things. They come from that, and I wish for people that they can simplify their life somehow.
And if I want to learn about simple living, what you mentioned, where do I start? Maybe you can mention a book that really inspired you, or a person that really inspired you.
I mean, okay, I can just show you what's laying around on my desk, okay?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, in here I got the book Gardening Without Work. You're getting to know me gradually. I mean, it's saying no plowing, no hoeing, no cultivating, no weeding, no water, no spraying. That's where my mind is. Or here we go. Deep truths about my mind. The Escape Manifesto. Quit your corporate job. Or the more of less. And simplify your life. From 1 second. Of course, here's my Bhagavad Gita, and then there's Varnashram Dharma. That's like the Vedic teaching of how to live simple. I'm thinking, how do I set up a farm? How do I live on some land? And how is this vision looking in my mind? Contemplating about that helps me to understand where do I need to search. And I think it's very, very individual. What is simple meaning for you? And everyone, that's how it worked for me. Everyone somehow connects to what is simple for me. For me, it worked like, I don't want to sit in an office all day. I don't want my children to grow up in between concrete, rubber, nuts and bolts, and now that's not where I want them to grow up. And then I had no clue what I really want, and it took me many years to figure out what I really want, and still I'm learning the nuances and think of, oh well, that's I was thinking I really want that, but actually I was thinking that and making that up in my mind, but fully embodying, I'm feeling something different. That's not really what I want. It's maybe ideal, and maybe I feel I should want that, but it's not. So I don't want to say simple living means this or means that. It's individual, and of course I have my realizations, and that's why I will write them down. And I'm right now I'm struggling to write them down in a way where
You force yourself to sit down, and you can't.
Yeah.
feel
Now,
that inspiration.
how can I transfer that feeling of eating that arugula salad?
Oh yeah.
And how can I transfer that feeling, and how can I say it in a way that people don't feel like I'm saying you need to eat arugula salad, or that it's not good what you're doing? How can I do that? So I'm constantly growing by understanding what I wrote there. Maybe, yeah, when I get some feedback from someone, then I understand, oh, that's totally not what I wanted to say.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, people hear what they want to hear. There's a saying, you know.
Yeah, and how do I express myself? Am I really making my point clear? So I'm definitely learning.
Just before I have
Yeah.
one last question, but just before I ask that last question, very interesting. I want to know. You start your TED talk by showing a cow shit on that, so a bullshit what you said, and you then mentioned how you can actually make money from it by selling it. Can you just tell me, was it for real or you joking?
Oh no, yeah, it's for real. So yeah, I'm not joking. That's I mean it very serious. Like one example we're here in Germany, and my kids saw how we were working with cow dung in Fiji, and working with cow dung in upstate New York, near Woodstock. Yeah, that we would sell a lot of cow dung. We were drying the cow dung. We were gathering it in the summer, drying it outdoors. In the winter, doing it indoors. And we made like up to $165 per 25 pound plus shipping. Yeah.
Shipping. Yeah.
I mean, hey, you get from some poo, you get $165. That's impressive for me.
Yeah.
And that was an example I wanted to live for my children and show that to them. That's abundance. Yeah, it's like money is lying around everywhere. Yeah, they don't need to come and beg me to buy them something.
Yeah.
So here we made the walk, we make up to the farmer to get the milk, since we're here in lockdown. And I went with Gopal, my eldest son. He's 10 and a half. Very important when you're at that age. It's 10 and a half. Okay?
10 and a half.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe one day he will
right.
see that video and he will get really mad with me. So 10 and a half. And we were walking along the creek and then passing on some cows. And he said to me something along the line, "Daddy, I want to sell some cow dung, and I want you to help me to collect it because it's too heavy when I carry it home. And I want you to." He doesn't know really what's an advertisement, but he knows that we sometimes sold something, and he said to me, I should do that again. And he said to me, amazing, yeah, I will give you 20% of what I earn. I was like, how do you know? I was studying economics, and I was like with 26, I couldn't figure out a number like that is precise like that. Very fair that he's giving like 20. So
yeah.
Then okay, we got the bucket, and he got a little plastic shovel, so he like a little children bucket full of poo, and then we brought it here. And actually he was not up to making the patties and turning them so that they can dry nicely. So he said to his brother if he wants to help him, and he gives him €2. So then his brother was doing the hard turning work, and then yeah. When the weather was not good, he was making an agreement with the mother to have it somewhat somewhere indoors where she feels it's okay. So then, indeed, after a couple of weeks, in March, he sold it for 46 something like that US dollar, and minus shipping. Okay, but he was reading in this scientific school books where you see the different stones and minerals. So he had this mindset on getting a gold coin, and that he was thinking, okay, if he sells that, he was seeing how that works. Then he asked me if I can get him a gold coin. Then I said, yeah, well, yeah, why not? And and then I went with him. I told him, but if you want some that, then you come with me, okay? I go with you, and you come with me, huh? And yeah, was important for him that I asked the person, okay, that's okay. Then they didn't have any gold because it already started with Corona, and it was shortly before they were closing their shop, but they had a silver coin. They had silver coins, so he got a silver coin. He got a big silver coin. Actually, it was a Canadian maple leaf, not an Australian. Yeah, but yeah, he he got a silver coin. So I can seriously say you can turn bullshit into gold. That's my deep realization, or silver, and even a 10-year-old child can do that.
Yeah, that's a deep one. It's a deep realization.
That's a deep one. That's so impressive for me. And when we go to Portugal, one of my biggest goals is, and I really hope I keep on being steady and determined to somehow make that happen and have the blessings for that. To just make something where an ox can walk around, and then it turns machines, like 150 years ago. Everyone was doing that with the old horsepower. That's like 1 horsepower. That term comes from 1 horse walking in a cycle attached to like a log that turns, and in the center of the log there's something that turns one gear, and that gear is turning another gear, and that gear is turning a shaft, and that shaft is turning, for example, a saw, or it's turning a belt, and that's turning a mill, or whatever. You can turn anything and everything with that, and then I'm not dependent on external power anymore. Electricity, and that's a way I want to show that and instead of like growing cows and harvesting them for blood, you can rather use the milk, and you can do so many things with the milk, even with the poo. And there are many things that we did that people here, they have forgotten it. And there are some books from people that discovered knowledge like that, how you can do farming like back in the old days. How did they do it 5,000 years ago? And then farming is not like really hard work, and you get only a little bit, and it's way easier if you have the right setup. And I'm even dreaming of like having a little transformer to turn that energy
into
of the bull into electricity. And one thing we want to do immediately, there's one lady here in Germany, my respect goes out to her. She developed a bag you it's like, yeah, like imagine the biggest shopping bag you have ever seen, like a big format, and then
Yeah.
three of them. If you have three of them that size, it's a bag that's inflated, and then you catch the gas that comes from the cow dung, and it gradually fills up. It fills up, and it's lightweight, and you can. It has two straps, and you can carry it on your back wherever you want. It's like from LPG or from the liquid gas. These tanks where there's that compressed liquid gas. It's compressed, and that's why it's so strong and solid.
Yeah.
And you need to have so many security pass so many security tests. But in this bag, it's catched. The gas from the cow dung is catched without compression, so it's not so dangerous. And that's very easy to do. It's very easy to do that. So I want to do that immediately and cook from that gas. And I want to show an example. You can do that in Europe. It's not that you only need to do these things in Africa. By that's the way to become happy, because I was feeling like I have no choice. I have to live this life where I need to eat the food that's in the supermarket. I need to get the energy that's from the nuclear reactor. I need to work because otherwise I will starve. I will not give my kids the life that they deserve, and then they cannot go to university and live the same depressive life that I live. And no,
It's
there's an
very depressive.
alternative. There's an alternative, and it's not communism or capitalism. You can just live independent like that, living simple with higher values. Yeah,
It's amazing.
that's
I'm
for
actually
me
a bit
fantastic.
jealous.
Yeah.
Because actually, university is one of these places that I never want to come back to. It's just it's so much
Yeah.
stress and anxiety.
Yeah, it's pressure, anxiety, stress. You don't know what's the outcome later.
Yeah, like I'm studying psychology, and a lot of my students, classmates, they all have a lot of stress, anxiety. They might have depression sometimes, and a lot of mental problems.
Yeah.
If I do it cumulative, like if I speak about each person, and then sum it up, they have a lot of problems. And then I realized these people are going to be psychologists. They are supposed to help people with stress and anxiety.
Actually, yeah, I learned that in the last years coaching, and I now I have a client who is a psychologist, and I mean there's a big difference when psychologists they learn to stay in the past, and often then their clients also stay in the past, and it's rethinking the problem. And I feel like I am a problem. The approach is often like, you are a problem, you have to be fixed, you're not normal. And often it ends in giving tablets, and that's even
drugs.
suppressing more feelings and disconnecting people from their soul, from their spirit, and not being alive and staying depressive. So I see that can be a really, really good service. Like I imagine myself doing half of my time coaching and half of my time I'm spending outside on the fields, because the farming that I envision, it's simple. It's very simple. Yeah, and I'm open to explore. Maybe the ratio will be different, but yeah, I want to share that's psychology can be really helpful for people, to help them to disconnect from what they not want, connect them with what they want, connect them with their feelings. And once you're connected with your feelings, you can start much easier to live high thinking, to come to a place where you think, who am I? What's my goal of life? If I'm always struggling with either some external struggle around money or the pressure in university, that's one thing. But then internally, if my mind is like giving me trouble, then it's even harder to stay clear and peaceful and think about what is life about.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you. I was going to ask you, like, what's your future plans, but I got the overall idea that you want to finish your book, you want to do this, produce the energy by using the horsepower or bull power, or it's like really interesting. You know, it's not something that normal people do, like all people who live in the city. You know, this, which is awesome. I really love it. Just lastly, do you want to advertise anything? Like tell people what you have? You know, maybe some talks, or you have.
Yeah,
Do you have
I
a
mean,
page,
if someone likes to get in touch with me to speak about things like that, I love that, and yeah, I invite everyone to look that TED talk about the bullshit, and yeah, I'm very inspired to hear from different people what they think and where they are at and what that means for them to live simple. And now in this time, I got the reaction from more and more people that they want to change something, and they often they don't know where to start, or they are not really convinced, and they maybe need more of an external push to say, okay, I will change something. But that's interesting for me to get feedback about that. Yeah.
Cool, awesome. Thank you so much for your time and all this experience and insights that you shared. Also, please continue to inspire other people. I feel like we really need more people like you. So thank you so much. It was really nice.
Thank you for your renunciation of going to university, and yeah, you're putting that time and effort in, and even there's stress. You're becoming a psychologist to reduce stress or help people to relieve that, and you feel stressed by doing that, and that's yeah, I see that it is already a service, because you're using your ability to interview people and inspire other people and share something with the world. And yeah, I'm impressed by that, and I really find I find your videos funny, like when you're when you're sitting in the chair and bouncing the ball, and you're playing the music, and you're just wasting your time, and then your your inner voice talks to you, and you're okay. I'm doing it there. I was connecting with that.
Yeah, procrastination. Many people do that. Yeah, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this interview. Please watch it again with your family and friends. Give us a like and subscribe to my channel Unreal. If you have any questions for Ben Bharat or myself, please leave them in the comments below. That's it for tonight, and I'll see you soon.